track. He's asking you to come in and sing, help write.
Yeah.
How's the money? So what does this mean in terms of money? Because a lot of people go, well, if this blows up, you're going to be profiting off me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's a line of, hey, this is an opportunity here.
Yeah,
I get to be known. Like
Yeah.
this, I could springboard off this. Like,
Of course.
what was your thought process
So
in that aspect?
at the time, it was, you know, there was not even money wasn't even an issue. You know, it was like, okay, look, I'm just trying to get my foot in the door.
Mhm.
You know, I know the money will come. When the money comes, it'll be fine. And I used to say that to my parents because in the beginning, there was no money involved. You know, we were just working. We were working to get ourselves out there, and we were up and down. We were doing shows, and we were getting paid peanuts.
Mhm.
You know, but we had a bigger. There was a bigger picture. There was a bigger agenda.
Mhm.
There was like, okay, we are out there to make a real mark and make something happen here. You know what I mean? And our management had that same vision. We did see money, but it wasn't a huge amount. But I guess, you know, I mean, sometimes we look back at it now and we think, well, you know, we probably should have made a lot more.
Mhm.
We were a bit naive. We didn't know how it worked back then, you know, and but then, you know, record labels are there to make money,
Yeah.
right? So, but in the process, did they do a good job? Yes, they did, because they made us superstars. You know, at that time, we were at the top of our game. We were on mainstream TV. We were on Top of the Pops. We were here, there. Like, it was unheard of.
So when you see that and you see somebody on the TV,
Yeah.
you know, and you're like, that person's made it. You know, he's singing here, he's on Top of the Pops, for example. This guy must be a multi-millionaire. Is that the reality?
No. And if that's your first record, you're not a multi-millionaire off the first record. You know, that's the beginning of the process. You get me? So, but yeah, it's weird that people assume that straight away. The moment they see you on the TV, they think because he's on TV, he's a millionaire. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. It's not what it is, man. There's a lot of people on television that, you know, they're doing well.
Yeah.
But it doesn't happen overnight. It happens, okay, that's your foot in the door. You're on screen, on that big screen. But you got to work hard. You got to work hard for many years before you get those millions. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's a long process, man. It doesn't happen overnight.
Some people in the limelight industry do the opposite and think they're worth more.
Yeah.
And so they start saying, nah, I'm not going to turn up to that. I'm not coming to that unless you pay me this. And very quickly they get managed out.
Yeah.
You know, people go, you think you're bigger than the industry. Have you ever experienced people like that around you?
I've seen it. I've seen it a lot. Yeah, I've seen it a lot. I don't want to mention any names, but I have seen that happen. And I've seen a lot of people's careers come crashing down, you know, because they get too much of an ego. They get too much of a chip on their shoulder because, you know, they've had a couple of big hits. They got paid some serious money, you know, but they slowly, because of their attitude and their ego, start fizzling out because people no longer want to work with you because they're like, well, you're not a great guy to work with, you know. I don't enjoy working with you. So why would I want to put myself in that again? You know, I had a bad experience.
How important is that? Like in terms
Very
of
important, man.
Is it just as important as the talent?
100%. You know, bro. Look, listen. I'll be very, very real with you, right? And we were having this conversation the other day. I don't put myself out there. I'm not a singer, right? I sing, but I'm not a trained singer. If you put me on a vajja next to a singer with a vajja, he will annihilate me, okay? Because I have not been taught like that. I sing from my heart. I know how to write songs, and I did something right. I connect with people. When I sing, like, you know, when I sang that, people will be going, oh my God, he didn't even hit the note right. They'll be analyzing it. But I connected with you. You vibed off that, right?
Yeah.
That's what I bring. I bring a vibe. I bring connection, right? And I bring that energy. And that's what I'm getting still booked today. 22 years later, people are still picking up the phone because when I step on stage, I bring that whole room in and I take control and I'm there to do a job. I'm there to make them happy, entertain them, lift their spirits, regardless of where I'm at, right? And this is very difficult because I could be going through some serious trauma in my own personal life. But when I step on that stage, I've got to forget about all of that. And I've got to put on this, yo, what's happening?
Yeah.
Right. Oh, my bro, it's hard work.
Come on, bro.
Hard work.
And do you know what I really remember you for as well? Your crazy dance moves.
Yeah, they're still
just
there.
Throw yourself in the middle and just that half cartwheel sort of like with your legs, and it's just like a vibe.
To this day, I was filming people last night.
Yeah.
These guys were on the stage doing my dance move. Like, and it's so nice to see, man, that all these years later, and I say it every time I go to every event, I say, thank you for having me. You know, thank you for calling me here today. Because I'm very fortunate that I'm still in this and the midst of it, you know, and in and amongst all the young, new, hip artists that are the current vibe and the current trend, I'm still in and amongst it all. I'm still on those same flyers. You know, I could have been taken out a long time ago and replaced by someone else. But, you know, without sounding cocky, it's hard to replace Juggy D. You know, I believe in myself. And that's something that I'm proud of, you know, because I worked hard. And that's not coming with ego, that's coming with just confidence of that I've worked hard, man. And I've worked hard to better myself all the time.
100. You mentioned something a little bit earlier about you had to tell your parents that I'm not getting paid right now, but it's coming, you know, and sometimes, especially our Asian parents can be the most, you know, army generals there. What are you doing? Well, what's your time? What you think this is gonna? You're putting yourself out there, you know, nazar, all of that. You know, people are gonna be, you know, looking down at you. You're a loafer. You're not doing nothing. You think you're gonna be this, you're that, until it happens. But you know, then they support you and stuff. But what do you say when you're giving advice to the next generation when you have people like your parents who created you are thinking with their own thoughts and their own beliefs? They're going through their system, not what they think you're actually capable of.
You've just got I guess, you know, I can only go from my experience. You've just got to reassure them that it's going to be okay, you know, and you've got confidence in yourself. Because what I used with my parents was that, look, Dad, all I'm doing is putting time into this. I'm not putting money into it. Right. It's not a business that I have to invest so much money and then, oh my God, I'm down this much money. How am I going to make it back? And what if it's not a success? We're going to be down, right? Still down. All I'm doing is investing my time and my effort. So I'm in a good business. I'm in a good position to start with because I've not had to financially invest in this. I've just have to put my time into it. So they were like, okay, Jal Tika, you know, I'd get by. I'd buy a bit more time off them. I'd buy a bit more time and just saying, don't worry, it'll be all right. It'll be all right. You know, all this, that money that you were not seeing just yet, there's going to come a time where it's going to cover that year or two threefold, you know, or whatever it is. So they were okay with it.
It's a bit strange, like the different cultures, you know, like, you know, you have different cultures, like English people will say, go on, go for it, we'll support you. And then we'll have like, we're just trying to fight for that. Can I have one more day, please? Like, you know, it's just a bit like, you know, do you think things have changed?
I think so, yeah, big time, man. Because look, they can see it. Our parents can all see that, you know, footballers make millions. You know, property, there's so much money to be made. That's, you know, bricks and mortar. You can never go wrong, right? There's always going to be a demand for that. Sports that people, you know, didn't get paid highly for now are getting some crazy, insane money. And artists are getting paid some big bucks. Like, look at, you know, in today's, we finally got to those big stages, you know, arenas, selling out arenas. We've got artists now that are doing that, you know, and that's so good to see. You know, we had a taste of that, you know, but it was still on a smaller scale, you know, where we were still part of a group of people that were doing it. You know, we opened for Missy Elliott in Birmingham. We opened for Busta Rhymes, you know, and those were big sellout arenas, you know. But we were like support acts. But now we've got our Punjabi artists that are headlining, only them on that show. There's no support acts, and people are coming out to see them in the thousands. That's mad, and that's where our parents now have gone. Okay. Yeah, you don't have to just be a dentist or a doctor, you know?
It's true.
You can do something else and make money. And what my parents always said was, jeda tu kam karna, and I'll say this in English as well for the people that don't understand Punjabi. But in Punjabi, I will say it first because I just feel it holds a lot more kind of, it comes across better, right? Jeda kam karna tu dat ke karna, right? Make sure you give it your heart and soul. So whatever work you're going to do it with 110% of your effort. Because if you're not going to give it 110%, don't waste your time, you know, because you could put that energy somewhere else. And sometimes I laugh when I say, when I now talk about my drinking days, I say, yeah, I blame my dad for that. He said, whatever you do, son, do it to the best of your ability. And I said, I drank to the best of my ability. I said, so that's his fault, man. That was a bit of a nutter on it. But now it's not like that, you know what I mean? And he's proud of me now as well. My parents are very proud. I can openly talk to him about